Good afternoon, and thank you very much for inviting me for this talk. And when I see these young kids around me, I feel like it's a blessing for me. So last week we had a what to say. It was called the rainy shower. So last week was a pious day for us Buddhists because the rain which came, it was said that whatever we receive, it is like a prasad. So for me also, when I see you young kids listening to my blabbering with such intensity, I feel it's a blessing to me, and I grow younger day by day whenever I'm in touch with you. So thank you very much. So TEDx is all about ideas, ain't it? Is it idea or not? I want you all to participate side by side. If I can see you nodding, then I know that I'm talking to someone. Otherwise, I'll be talking all alone. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. So TEDx is all about ideas, and ideas as in smart ideas and very smart people listening. So I guess I'm a very smart speaker. so I so I thought that I have to come up with a very smart idea because you guys are all smart listeners. So my smart idea is happiness, and there are two. I have kept it in two kinds of happiness. One is real happiness, and the other one is a sustainable happiness. Basically, happiness is genuine contentment, and in order to be happy, we need to balance the material progress with spiritual growth. Spiritual growth can be anything, like it can be religious growth, or it can be a mental growth, or any growth. So you need to balance it out with the material progress and with the spiritual growth. So here in Sikkim, early on, like through our parents, through school, through community, we are taught to protect natural environment, fight global warming, celebrate our culture, practice good governance. So how do we? So when we do this, now the next question in your mind would be, how do we measure happiness? Do you have that? Like, do you think like how are we going to measure happiness? So it's very important. So I kind of picked it up from Bhutan because Bhutan has the concept of GNH. Do you know that? So the GNH
Yes,
means
happiness index.
yeah, gross national happiness. So instead of measuring your richness, where other countries measure it in GDP, which is called the gross domestic uh, product, they measure their countries means whatever money they earn is through the gross national happiness. So they have made it into a 8 domain. So the 8 domains are like you have the health, you have the education, you have your living standards, you have culture, you have ecology, you have time use, you have good governance, and psychological well-being. So now the question is, how do I become happy? So how do we become happy? So you have the sense of security, you have sense of identity, and you have a sense of purpose. So sense of security, identity, and purpose can be on individual level or it can be on national level. So last time we had a talk with 4 or 5 of us. So what happened? I said all of you are studying in a very good school. You have a good family. So what happens? You have a sense of security because once you go back, you know that you're going back to a AC room. You have your food laid on the table. Everything is there. Yes or no? And then second thing is you have your identity. Like I see, like on the first is Lakshita Sharma. You have a sense of identity because your dad has given you, or someone your parents have given you, or like Rashi has got a Ratan in there. So someone like you have a sense of identity. And then once you have these two, then what do you think about? You have a sense of purpose. So what is the sense of purpose is? For you, the sense of purpose would be, oh, the environment is bad. We need to do something. Or like today in my neighborhood, there were a lot of dogs which were hungry. I'm going to feed them. So there's a sense of purpose. So like that, you have an individual level and at a national level. So national level, what does it mean with national level? National level means good governance. So when we say go out and vote, each vote counts, means that is the time when you demand for a good governance from from the people who's standing there for elections. Okay. And now I just jotted some points, so I need to go through and then I'll talk to you and make it think. Okay, now I come to the climate change and global warming. Some of them know, we all know that there are two poles on the earth. So it's a North Pole and the
South Pole.
South Pole.
Okay. So North Pole and the South Pole. What are these poles? What do you look at it? When you look at these poles, what do you look at it?
Ice and cold.
Ice and cold. And it is a what you have to remember, it's a repository of fresh water.
Fresh water.
Fresh water. So now my other question would be, which is the third pole?
The
Mount Everest.
Himalayas.
The Himalayas, sorry, the Himalayas.
Yeah, so the Hindu Kush Himalayan glaciers is what we should know is our third pole. And that is where the largest, after the Arctic and the Antarctic, the largest repository of fresh water is in the Hindu Kush Himalayan glaciers. So, what happens? 1/5 of the world's population, that means China, India, Bangladesh, Burma, Bhutan, Nepal, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, they rely on these waters. They rely on these waters, which are very important to us. So now I'm going to talk to you of something very sad thing about the global warming. What happens? From the pre-industrial era, temperature, and if by the end, if the temperature rises by 1.5 degrees centigrade, if the temperature rises by 1.5 degrees centigrade, 1/3 of the glaciers will melt in the Himalayas. You understand? And as per the COP convention, you know what's a COP convention? So the COP convention is called the Conference of Parties of UNFCCC. So United Nations Climate Change Framework Convention, where all the countries were brought into the UN umbrella. This was formed in 1994 to check the greenhouse emission and to protect Earth from the threat of climate change. So this COP, so you have COP 15, COP 21. So they have meetings all over the world. So in one of the COP 21, I think, which was in Paris during December 2000, I think would be about 2015. They decided that they will control the global warming and keep the global warming in comparison with the pre-industrial area till the turn of the century to 2 degrees, which is next to impossible. 1.5 is, I'm talking way like a better than the best case scenario, which is impossible. And 2 degrees also, everybody agrees to do it, to reduce the greenhouse emission and pollution and all those things. It would be, they agreed on 2 degrees centigrade. So what happens to the glacier? Half of the Himalayan glaciers will melt by this turn of the century. At the going rate as of now, as of today, at the end of the century, 2/3 of the glaciers will melt. So it's a very serious issue, what we are thinking of. The issue is, we have, people say, no, that this earth is, I have inherited this earth. It's not what I have inherited. It is not I have inherited from this earth. We have to change it. And we say that we have taken on lease from the kids from you. So we have to treat it nicely. We have to treat it with love, tender, and care. So I'm just trying to scare you, but there are a lot of good things being done. So now what happens when you have global warming? What happens? You receive a lot of rain, but you don't receive snow. And when you receive a lot of rain, it hurts the snow. Like, for example, if you keep an ice just like that on the table, and if you keep an ice next to the running water, which melts faster. The one which is kept on the running water, it melts faster. So if it rains a lot, it's not good for the glaciers up there because it'll melt away the ice as much as possible. And then the second thing is of the pollution. What happens? What is pollution? Pollution emits black carbon. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So they emit black carbon. So what happens when the black carbon mingles with the rain and the snow, and it lands on the glacier? What
Acid
happens?
rain.
Yeah, it's an acid rain. And second thing is it's black in nature. So what happens with black?
The water gets dirty. And
No, you are correct. But what's the nature of black? It absorbs more heat. White reflects heat, and black absorbs more heat. So when the black carbon sits on a glacier, it's absorbing more heat than what the glacier is. So what happens? The ice melts faster, at a very fast rate. It melts at a very fast rate. Now you take, for example, did you know about the Uttarakhand devastation where you saw the Shiva temple being almost been swept away? About oh shit.
yeah.
Sorry, my internet is acting quite a lot today. But you heard about? Did you know about that Uttarakhand thing? About the Shiva temple almost getting? Yeah. So what happens is, do you know the basic idea about what happens? So what is happening is, on the Himalayan belt, you have the snow-capped mountains and the glaciers. And now just below that, you have a lot of glacial lakes. So what happens is anything which melts, it goes to the glacial lakes. Now what happens? You take an example of a bucket of water. So what happens to the bucket of water? When you put the water, it stays there. But if you have a steady trickle, the bucket overflows. Okay. So now what happens? Basically, the lake, the glacier, the water trickles to the lake, and it trickles over, and then the river is formed. So you have the Ganges, the Brahmaputras flowing to the Tibet side on the Chinese occupied Tibet side. So that is the basic geography as to how the rivers are formed. But now what is happening is the melting of water is at a very fast pace. So the bucket is being pressurized, is being pushed. And if the bucket cannot take the pressure, what happens? The bucket bursts. Yes or no?
Yes.
And so is the lake. So the lake, what happens is it bursts because it cannot take the pressure. Because the inlet is equivalent to the outlet. It's like the Archimedes. Yes. So it breaks and the whole lake bursts. And when that lake bursts, and that is the reason why there was a Uttarakhand kind of a tragedy, what is happening. So every year you hear a lot of Bihar, you have the Bihar floods, and in Assam you see these are all because the water is melting at a faster rate than what it should be. And this is the major impact of global warming. If there is in the plains, if it is 1 degree centigrade, higher you go at a higher rate, say about 15,000 or 18,000 or 20,000 feet, there's a difference of 1 degree more. So the ice at which the water is melting is at a faster pace. So every 0.01 or 0.1 or say about 1 degree, the impact is at a very huge level. For you, it doesn't sound to say 1.5 to 2.5 doesn't make sense because it's like switching on the AC and say, okay, we're going 24 degrees or we're going 18 degrees. So, but at that level, it is a very different scene. The scenario is very different. I trek a lot. So way back, about 8 years back, we have one of the biggest glacier called the Zemu Glacier in Sikkim, and it's in the northern part of Sikkim. And it is at the base of the Mount Kanchenjunga, the third highest mountain. And I went there. The glacier was actually supposed to be 7 kilometer long glacier. It was a 7 kilometer long. Due to the climate change, now it has become only 6 kilometer. We have lost 1 kilometer of glacier in these past 80, 90 years. So that is the level of impact at a change of about 1 to 2 degrees. So, like, I'm trying to tell you that what are the impacts which is happening in the Himalayan belt. And it is not the Himalayan belt only, but later on it will impact you in the plain. Okay. So what happens? Like, for example, say way back in 1920s, 30s, or 40s, even if you go to the palaces, the Maharaja palaces, you have photographs, no, where like the kings have killed a tiger and kept on the front and take a photograph. Yes or no? Yeah. So
Yes.
the ash and all that stuff and all that, they've taken photographs. But now you and me, we try to do that. What happens? What? By
No, we
the
don't even try.
no, but I'm saying
It's not
if we
possible.
do that, we will be imprisoned.
We will
no?
get killed.
We'll get
Yeah,
imprisoned. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Failed.
Yeah. So my thing is, now what is happening? Everybody is going to Mount Everest or any. Shit. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now what happens is this is the same case scenario. Now you listen to me properly. Now what happens? You see a lot of photographs, people going with Indian flag, US flag, climbing the Mount Everest and putting it and showing, taking photographs. We should stop all this. Because we should say that anybody takes that photograph, climbs that mountain where these are our fish, these are our refrigerators, these are our water, these are our storage, these are my waters. We have to say this is my water. And you are not supposed to climb, you are not supposed to make it dirty by climbing over it. And it's like the same scenario of the Maharajas clicking photographs, and now we can't do that. You all should insist that nobody should take photograph and nobody should climb these mountains. Sikkim is the only state where we don't allow climbing Mount Kanchenjunga because we take it as a deity. I said Sikkim is not perfect. We have our own problems. But what we believe in, whatever little we do in the initiative of global warming and greenhouse emission cut down and all this, we are trying to set up an example. And if we can set up an example and even 10 of you from 100 to 100, whoever is watching takes it back home, I feel that I am successful of whatever I am saying, even if 10 of you do.